In this episode, I sit down with Jesse Gollan to talk about the drawing room, Get Naked Espresso, and starting a small business, running a small business, and having vision and seeing that vision come to life. It is a great episode. If you're a small business owner, thinking about being a small business owner, or want to know some of what went into making the drawing room a reality, you want to stay tuned for this episode. Let's jump in. Welcome to the Enriched Wealth Podcast. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Jesse, owner of Get Naked Espresso and the Drawing Room. Unfortunately today, Jesse, we were supposed to be interviewing Hayley, but we have the other half, the lesser half, the
equal.
Equal. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. All right, well, that's rolled into it. So welcome, Jesse. Thank you for joining us. I'm really excited about today. I'm really excited to hear your journey and your story about business, life, small business. You've had quite a journey. You've owned different businesses, very successful as well. So you've sort of got boots on the ground with all of that. But I'd love to hear, and we were actually just talking a little bit beforehand, what was the genesis for you to go into small business? What was the thing that was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a go?
I think the real marker is when just seeing a bit of a niche and seeing that things can be more flexible and just kind of taking the plunge and doing something that I believed would work.
Yep.
And being young and naive enough to just see how it went, really.
Yes.
But seeing a gap in the market, I think, is pretty much the moment that anyone really starts thinking about going into their own business.
Yep. So what was the gap that you saw? Because it was Get Naked Espresso was your first venture. Yep. So what was the gap that you saw that you sort of said, something's missing here?
Back then, everyone was just making great coffee. There was a bit going around, but the real culture hadn't quite hit the ground in Bendigo just yet. And and everyone was doing breakfast, lunch, and the coffees as well, which was kind of taking away from the focus that could be put on elevating that product, and specifically with our shop was just doing coffee.
Yes.
And predominantly takeaway. Everything was really simple and super fast. And I guess the scary part was that it meant that we shook off all those other products that were perceived at the time to be the things that kept the doors open.
Yes.
So if it was going to work, it had to be extremely busy straight away. And thankfully everyone, the general public got on board with that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And like, hang on, this is way better than we've been experiencing, and we can just go and get a coffee and not have to stand behind people that are waiting for a table or
so you really flipped the model on the head in a lot of ways, didn't you? In terms of, it was the traditional cafe, sort of a bit of everything for everyone, and you sort of really niched down and said, no, the gap is people just want good coffee.
And specialising, so which makes a statement. Anytime that anyone does anything with any industry that is really specific, everyone kind of goes, oh, they must be specialists.
Yes.
Or they're obviously really passionate about that, which is essentially one of the best business models to be seen to be very passionate and get people's attention.
And I think too, people value when you do something really well, don't they? It's sort of that, you do this and I'm coming to you because you do this really well, rather than just being a bit of a generalist in everything.
Now more than ever, really.
So do you remember your first week? How did that feel, sort of, you're setting this thing up, it's all going, obviously everything went very smoothly, all to plan, there were no hiccups, no issues?
I wish I could say that. It was just a whirlwind, and but really fun. It's the ultimate adrenaline rush when you're putting everything on the line and putting yourself as guarantor for lots of things, and dropping in whatever savings you've got to back yourself. And we had our council health inspection that morning.
Oh, wow.
There were people waiting outside that had been keeping an eye on it, and one of the customers, I'll never forget her, she popped her head in and said, are you open yet? And I looked at the health inspector and I said, up to you. And she said, yep, all good. And I said, beauty. And she came in and I made my first coffee within 30 seconds of getting the tick.
Yeah, wow. That's awesome.
And
that's
it was,
yeah.
And it's pretty crazy, but it's really satisfying and scary. But if you're doing something that you're enjoying, then it's all worthwhile.
Yes. Yeah. What were some of the learnings that came out of some of those early days? I mean, we talked a little bit prior to here where you kind of said, if I knew everything now, I might have second thoughts. And I think for everyone in business, there are moments where they go, what have I done? What am I getting into here? What is this? So in those first few months, what were some of the things that you sort of look back on now and go, gee, I wish I'd have known it different, or I wish I had known that, and sort of a bit of reflection on past selves and say, what's some of the wisdom you'd bring to young Jesse?
I think business is just like life as well. If we all looked back at ourselves 5-10 years ago, we would be like, what are you doing? Or we might give ourselves a break and say, well, we didn't know that. And things come from experiences, and just got to embrace the mistakes and have fun along the way, because if you're very mindful of your mistakes, then you can make sure they don't happen again and put them away as a learning experience. And I think it took a while for those hard-hitting experiences to come through. I guess the first one is it's always hard when you go out on a limb and then you realise that you've got to keep the bank account full, and when you've got a landlord threatening to chain you out of your own premises, it gets pretty hairy, and you start thinking on your feet.
And adapting.
Exactly. Becoming very good at just asking very nicely for all sorts of different things. And, but I think the key is to not be afraid in the moment, because the realities are very real, but attacking problems head on can be the difference between making it through or sinking, really.
And I think it's that adaptability and that desire to go, it's a problem I've got to fix. I can't just put it to the side and deal with it in a couple of months' time. There's a lot of real problems out there, and you sort of got to...
And I still do that, of course. I'll deal with it later.
Yes.
What's at the top of the list? Hayley and I, she's taught me to write lots of lists.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, put it at the top of the list.
Yep.
But then when there's too many things at the top of the list, you've got to make a new list.
Of then the priorities from the previous list.
So this list is at the top of other lists.
Top of the list, review the other list.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. So did you how soon after you sort of kicked off did you then have staff members? Because I think there's one element of you've got the operations, and then the next element is you add staff, and all of a sudden the complexity feels like it goes up tenfold, because you're not only thinking about you or the customer, you're now thinking about you, the customer, and the employee.
Definitely. There's two elements to having staff where you're they're trusting you to maintain their employment and all the obligations on the financial side.
Yes.
But then you're also motivated to make the most of those staff so that you can then do things in the background to make sure that the business is growing while those staff are hopefully doing exactly what you want them to be doing, really. But it didn't take us very long to put on a couple of staff in the early days. But I think it was still new and exciting, and it just had to happen.
Yes.
But to fast forward to when you ask about like advice and things like that, staff should only really come on, in my opinion, when you need them, because otherwise it kind of just dilutes a few things.
Yes.
And the staff are always going to be more expensive than yourself, which ties into lots of other things. But
and I think that's a real balance for small business owners, isn't it? Because it's,
yes.
I mean, if you had unlimited funds, where you'd resource every position, spend your time training them to then leverage and go on to that next step. But when you've got limited resources, you then have this trade-off of
Yeah.
And there's always this thing in the back of your head, well, I can do that, but you doing that might forego you doing something else.
Yeah, exactly. And the balance is the key word that you said, because you can go way too far the other way and end up delegating everything. And all of a sudden it costs a lot, and they might not be doing those niche things that you're doing the best. So it's about figuring out what you can do the best and delegating the other things.
And I think too, there's one of the other balances is that culture piece as well, isn't it? And I think that's very important, especially whether it's the first startup or, you know, looking now at the drawing room as well too. Making sure that whatever you're building has the right culture. So if you're not there, it's very hard to help impart that culture or help give feedback to people to go along that journey. So how do you find that struggle, that discussion, that building that right presence?
With the balance, it is tough. But it almost has to be plugged in as one of the elements of the business.
Yes.
And Haley and I call it the thing.
The thing.
The thing.
I like that. Yeah.
Because it's really hard to take minutes of what you did while you were doing the thing, or justify what you were doing. It's essentially just structured smooshing.
We've got all the technical terms today, so it's the thing, structured smooching.
Schmoozing. Now I can't even say it. You've broken my brain. Schmoozing.
Schmoozing.
That's it. I said it wrong in the first place. That's why it was wrong. But it is a really, really important element, especially once the team starts to get larger. It's you can manage the culture personally when it's a small team, but when it gets a bit larger, the thing kind of becomes a bigger job, and you end up mingling and making sure that everyone's happy, or giving everyone an audience for feedback, and it's crazy how much more productive a staff member can be when they feel valued or a part of the vision.
Yes. Yep. And I think vision's a big one that I see you delivering on, in terms of taking something, an idea, and actually making it reality. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on how different is the vision in your head to what's become reality. Like let's take the drawing room, for example.
Please.
It's this beautiful place now, walk in, but it didn't always look like that. And it didn't always, for many years it probably stood not used the way it is now, and definitely not looking the way it is now. So what are some of your takeaways in terms of having a vision, bringing it? Is it close to what you thought it was? Is it everything, or is it still work in progress? Is it...
The last option sounds really great. But no,
still work in progress.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the key elements of how Haley and I work together. Everything's always a work in progress, and nothing's ever finite. Nothing's ever done. We're always reevaluating things and seeing how it can be changed, improved, elevated.
Do you find as a couple you're challenging each other on that in terms of that continuous improvement? And sort of, what are we doing about this? What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the ways that we run a business together ended up in our vows, in our wedding, because it's just so much a part of why we value each other and work so well as a team, because we challenge the absolute heck out of each other constantly.
But value each other's opinions at the same time. So the challenge is valuable challenge in terms of we're getting this to a better position than if I just came in myself and went, I think it needs to be done this way, or it needs to be done that way.
Yeah, that's it. And then reevaluating, listening, which is back to the culture, just listening. I think that kind of comes into a relationship thing, really, just listening, because the moment that we think that we know everything and are right all the time, you kind of just, that's it.
I think you're probably setting yourself up for a new lesson at that point, aren't you? To remind you that, there's more to learn.
Yeah, yes. It's great to be right most of the time. That means you're on the right track.
Yes.
But the vision that we did set out to achieve is very, very, very much how it's turned out.
Great.
There are little tweaks here and there. It all came from reevaluating what we could achieve at Nude Food, because that we didn't move from there because it wasn't successful. It was doing really well, but we were kind of we didn't see the top of the mountain. We saw that it was going well and wanted to keep going. And we realised that our desire for elevating the product was kind of capped a little bit. The space was prohibitive to pushing into the functions, and the kitchen was prohibitive to pushing into catering, and so we made the decision to take the plunge. Really,
I think that comes back to vision, though, because if you weren't clear on where you wanted to be, it's very hard to identify all the little things that are missing, that are stopping you from getting there. It's almost if you said, well, this is it, we're happy, this is ticking along, we'll just keep making this a bit better. But it's a huge thing to identify that it's not actually meeting where we want to be, and we want to go that next step. So
of course.
And obviously that decision didn't happen overnight. It wasn't sat down one night and over a bit of healthy discussion went, all right, let's go. It's a process, isn't it?
It was a long process. We were looking around for ways to expand towards our vision in lots of different areas. There are multiple venues that we thought about branching out as well, or moving into. But we had our eyes on the building for a good 6 to 12 months before anything actually happened. And when it came back on the market, we pushed very hard. And that was the beginning of something pretty crazy.
Yeah. So between when it first came on the market, and you've acquired it and then you've started developing, what was the timeline that you spent working on it before seeing it come to fruition and having your first customers walk through the door?
It took a good month or two before we could really break ground. Not that we broke ground, but to turn a phrase.
Yes.
Once we'd got past that couple of months of making a plan and figuring out the new vision, and we just went absolutely ballistic for 9 months, doing a huge reno that was designed by Hayley with her amazing eye for detail and interior design, and mostly executed by myself with with the help of a really good mate of mine, and obviously the trades.
Yes.
But it was 9 months of 5 a.m. to 2 a.m., 5 a.m. to 2 a.m., and then lots of compromises.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I guess, like big projects, you can't do everything and be everywhere. So Hayley was an absolute superstar, designing things in the background and raising our little family at the same time too. So
yeah, it's a huge endeavour that you undertook there.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the thing that people don't see. Like, they see the doors open and go, oh, oh wow, looks great, doesn't it? But they don't. There's the journey to get there, and it's the staying in the course, because there's probably a few times that I imagine 2 a.m. you probably felt like going, what am I still doing here? This is another day of
keep going.
Yeah. It's almost time to get up again.
Yeah.
And obviously through that period you had other businesses still running in the background, so there's a bit of you've got to be in a position to be able to step away as well too. So what was some of was Hayley helping support those other businesses while you were busy on the tools? Or
well, that's another point, because we were still operating Nude Food at that time, so she was doing all of that and running everything at Nude Food over summer as well, with a huge busy period, and just took the reins like an absolute superstar. And the the Get Naked Espresso guys, they're just an absolute steam engine, those guys. They just keep pushing and going and going and going. And the standards don't drop. You check in every now and then to maintain that culture, do the thing. And but that was an absolute blessing to know that everything was under control.
Yep. And what do you think? Talk about Get Naked Espresso, because that was one that was obviously a very low touch point, and there's probably business owners out there going, I couldn't imagine even being a day away from the business. What are some of the things that you and Hayley have put in place to be able to help step away at periods or allow things to sort of run without having to be in it all day, every day?
Just identifying which staff have the right attitude, which is all of them. So essentially, the delegating becomes very important.
Yes.
And having a really clear structure of who's responsible for what.
Yep. Clarity is a big piece. Yep.
Huge piece. And I am not a good delegator. So
is Hayley a good delegator?
She's a fantastic delegator.
Yeah, great.
And so often the conversation is, no, but I want to do that. I want to keep an eye on that. But the moment that you can actually just take that passion and show that person how to do that, along with the clarity of the role, and that really opens up opportunities.
Yes.
Huge, big time.
Yep. And I guess again, you both bringing your different aspects of what you do to that, and saying, she's probably challenging you on delegating more, and you're probably challenging on the other side saying, we can't let this go right now. It needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's it. It's just like two opposite sine waves that join in the middle, and hopefully, like, sometimes it's not right in the middle, and but it's usually pretty darn close. And you wouldn't want to be trying to have these conversations with the same person, because you'd just end up going in one direction.
Well, you'd have the blinkers on at the end of the day, wouldn't you? Like
exactly.
the ability to be able to have someone that you trust, and whether it's great that it's your partner for life as well too, not just your business partner, but being able to say, we both bring something different to this, and that's how we get the best outcome.
And that does transcend into doing business with other people. So it's pretty similar.
Yep. I want to talk a little bit about customers for a bit, because your businesses would not be successful if you didn't have customers. And I love that you still have in your mind that first customer that poked their head in the door and said, you open. But obviously you've dealt with many different people along the way. So what are some of the things that you've brought in terms of value culture to the customer experience and building those customer relationships? Because it's a very it's a transactional business, isn't it? Like you don't. It's not like a gym where you've got the membership or the personal trainer and things like that. It's very much people come, and if they have a great experience, they'll come back. If they don't have a great experience, they might not come back. So there's a lot of pressure day in, day out to deliver a great standard and a great experience. So what are some of the things that you're sort of have learnt over the journey that you can impart, in some of the just that ethos that you bring day to day?
I think the key word is transactional, and that's exactly what we make sure that it isn't.
Love it.
Because at the end of the day, when you ask yourself what business are you in, we're not in the food business. We're not making sure that people walk out nourished. Like, that's obviously a part of it. But it's the experience business. So we make sure that people have a great experience, and then all of a sudden the product becomes maybe a third of the experience.
Yes.
The atmosphere could be another third, and then the interactions, the social interactions, become the other third. And then all of a sudden it's more about coming into a place to have a good time. And making everyone feel heard and valued, and really rewarding that moment where a customer becomes a regular. And not just a transactional, like, tourist or something like that. But we do that with everyone, so that tourist might come back next time they come to town.
I love that you've identified? Because people would look and say, "You're in the food business," and you very quickly went, "We're in the experience business."
Yeah.
Food's part of that experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it all, from everything from the ground up, we've got everything starts with the coffee industry essentially. So that is so social, and it's such a pleasure to be in an industry where someone's so happy to see you, even if it is vicariously because you're about to give them their morning coffee. But then the breakfast industry is just, it's so, there's not much you can do to mess with it, but we've always just been able to capitalise on our ability to create that warm environment to start people's day on the right foot.
And I think environment's huge. Like I've, been to different restaurants and things over the years, and some places you get in and you can't hear yourself. It's just so noisy. Other places you get in and the vibe just doesn't feel right, or you get greeted by someone who doesn't really feel like they want to take your order or even deliver you, anything. And so, experience is such a huge part of it. So have you been, as the drawing room opened and you saw things unfold, did you adjust along the way as part of building that experience? Was there things
sure
where
did.
Yeah.
You can aim for a particular goal or destination, but everything's always going to be a little bit different when you get there. So I think identifying quickly is one of the keys, because it is so cutthroat and there's so much on the line, especially when you've taken such a big jump. It has to be very successful straight away. So we were always adjusting the menu offering, adjusting the style of service that was actually being given. I think that was one of the first things to adjust, really, because we wanted to take everything from nude food and just elevate every single element. And so we elevated the food, which was great, and we elevated the service, but we dialed that back quite quickly because we realised that people didn't really expect or need that. They just were happy with everything else being elevated. And then, as you said, with the noise, the first moment that building filled up, it was just, we're like, oh, okay. Acoustics, top of the list.
Yes.
And so that was one of the first big scrambles for adjustment. So acoustic paneling under all the tables and bits of hidden in the walls and bits of the roof, and
amazing
waffle foam under chairs, and tuning the frequencies of speakers to figure out exactly that perpetual ringing that comes from a crowd of people in a room, and so that's
which people look and go, it's just a space, but that is so important in terms of a great experience. Being able to hear the person across the table, being able to give your order without having to shout and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Our favourite one was when the ladies would come in, because that was one of the biggest offerings that we couldn't do before, have a nice space where people would dress up and have a bottle of champagne. And they'd be drinking champagne, screaming at each other, laughing, squealing, and then they'd say, oh, it's a bit noisy. And I'm like, is it?
Amazing, yeah.
It is, you're right. But glad you're having a good time. But the actual menu offering is just evolving all the time. We've always had that as a part of our business plan to just continually reassess.
And I think that is a big part, isn't it? As part of the experience, is you want to delight, excite, and surprise people, not just go, oh, we're here to have the same thing we had 12 months ago. It's different and it's great. And
exactly.
Talking about customers, you talked earlier before about listening to Hayley. How do you and Hayley listen to your customers as well? Because obviously there's an engagement piece too. It's very hard to deliver a great experience and great product if you never talk, if you never listen. So do you collect feedback on a regular basis? Is it something that's like a process, or is it just you get the vibe. You're just making sure that you're out there talking to people. What's sort of yours and Hayley's?
So we give every customer a form. No,
Great. Yeah. You cannot leave without completing. Yep. 1 to 5, and
it is. There are multiple approaches, and it's just about teaching the team how to use different avenues, because not every person likes to be asked directly, or
which is a real emotional intelligence piece as well, isn't it? To staff to say, your job is not just to serve.
Exactly.
It's to collect data for us to make this better.
And make it seem seamless, like you're not hassling or interrogating. Because that becomes transactional.
Yes. Nearly more than the form does.
Like at the end of a phone call, please stay on the line to complete a short. It's just like, gotta go. So it's just about asking, talking, building relationships. Once you've built that relationship we've got a huge amount of regulars that are part of the other side of the culture. And they'll just tell us anyway. But with the new staff or new customers, it's just about being perceptive to if they've left half a drink and they're definitely not having it. It's just, how was that? Was that okay? Did you enjoy it? And most of the time, it's just, I'm just really full. But actually collecting that data is, they might say, I was wrong, or it was not to my taste, or with a meal. Just saying, how'd everyone go? And or if they're all completely clean, you could say, oh, you saved me doing the dishes. And like they just join in and just leveling with people, kind of just those tricks to instantly break the ice and not seem like a robot.
Yes.
Because then people will open up 99% of the time. You just make that first step, and then they'll
come into
reciprocate,
space.
And then you just have to be listening.
And I think that's one of the keys. Is it's one thing to ask a question; it's another thing to hear the feedback, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Have you ever received feedback that was hard to hear? Have you ever heard it when it's that stung, or has it always been pretty positive? Or
I think as a passionate business owner, it all stings if it's negative. Thankfully, it's most wildly positive. But if there's ever anything that was not up to speed or anything like that, it's not so bad, because you don't have to just freeze, because sometimes those problems are an opportunity to give better service than you could have given someone in the first place.
Yes.
Because back to our T-shirt brand, the problems are opportunities in disguise.
Yes.
And you can't go that next level and fix a problem if it didn't happen in the first place. And people are really impressed when a staff member can fix a problem. They're used to it just being, oh, I'll just stay quiet, or
it is what it is,
or I'll yell at them, and that'll be the end of it. That's not how we've trained our team. Everything gets either absorbed and fixed, essentially, or at least they'll know that we were trying to help.
Yep, and I love that, and I think that's probably more important than ever in this day and age, in terms of being able to interact with customers, being able to collect that feedback, because you, in this social media world, they can very easily walk out quietly and then go and
then you can't do anything about it.
No,
and thankfully the product is only 30% of the theoretical model.
Yes.
That's not even a word.
Yep.
So if for some reason you can't deliver on that, you just deliver on the rest of it. That still gets it over the line, really.
Yeah. For you and Hayley, what do you feel is some of the challenges you're facing as small business owners, as a couple as well, in terms of the day-to-day? I mean, there's the day-to-day, there's the operational. Is there anything else that you sort of look at and go, I just wish that part would be easier, or...
Yeah, I'll get my list.
Yeah, great, go for it.
But there are a huge amount of challenges, but to choose the top ones, I guess, that are the hardest, just keeping up with things moving so fast, really.
Yes.
Being flexible, being aware.
And things are changing at a rapid pace at the moment, aren't they?
Having your ears up.
Yep.
Just looking out for the next thing that might be coming around and then adapting. But then also not adapting in a negative way.
Yep.
For example, our philosophy is that the harder things get for the general public to spend money on treats and special things, it doesn't mean that you just roll over and accept that you're going to lose all your customers. You go the other way and say, well, it better be absolutely amazing because they don't call them luxuries for no reason.
Yes.
So I think that weeds out the people that are going to just reduce the quality of their product to try and keep the margins. We try and just make sure it's the best experience so that when people do choose to spend their money on that they think of your business first.
And I love that because I think that is you adapting in a way that maintains true to your vision, true to your brand and your ethos, rather than saying, well, changing things, we have to do this now, or we have to do that, or we have to become more like McDonald's. No. We have to go the other way. We have to make sure that if we're in the experience business, it's the most amazing experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those, back to the experience, those other things other than the product don't cost any money. Usually.
It's it is to give great experience. It is just it's just being able to show up and do it well, isn't it? A lot of the time, and it's how you approach it that is half the battle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Small business is obviously a challenging thing, and we've talked a bit about early days and rent and landlords and things like that. How important is the numbers to you and Hayley in terms of do you sit down, once a year and go, is everything going all right? Is it a weekly thing? It's
a constant thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That the evaluating process doesn't wait for you, and to know what's working and what's not working. It's really great to have the financial side of the business as a part of the vision.
Yes.
To set short-term goals, daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals are pretty hard to control.
Yep.
But if you look after the weeks, then the months tend to look after themselves.
And flow-on effect from there.
Yep. And then it's nice to reflect on the year.
Yes.
I'm sure you know all about that.
Yes. Yep. No, in and accounting and financial planning, we're good at reflecting. But there is that there is that constant daily, isn't it? Around what do we take in, what do we do? Are you tracking different product lines within the business as well to measure success? Obviously, that also impacts. Or there's just all these flow-on effects that if you're not across the numbers, you can very easily run into issues across the board, can't you?
Yeah, of course. And there's always a flip side to everything. There's no, I wish there was a rule book, do this. This is a good thing to keep an eye on and keep the balance, because you can look at them too much and then end up just flip-flopping and not maintaining a consistent offering, or seeming desperate or seeming frantic. And that's when there's untangible goodwill, community trust. Things can get in the way a little bit, or the staff might get frustrated, and that culture could be affected, or just drive yourself completely insane, really.
And you can really lose yourself in the numbers. And I know even some of our accountants would say you run a good business and the numbers almost take care of themselves. It doesn't mean that you are ignorant to them. You've still got to be across them. But there is a bit where you've got to be true to the business that you're running. You've got to be true to looking after your customers, your clients, and then all of that, there's a knock-on effect from that. But you can't always drive based off the numbers. You've got to drive based off what you believe and see it come back through. And
it's also very subjective, because it depends on the individual how much they understand the numbers, because numbers are just numbers. You've got to actually make them tell you a story with the knowledge and experience of seeing which ones affect others and which ones matter and what they actually reflect. Back when I was a young, naive coffee shop owner in the early days, it was just I had a pretty good idea of how much should be in the bank at the end of the week, and if it was that, it was fine. If it was more, we had a good week, and if it was less, I'd be like, crap, what do we do? And that was it, but that was all I knew how to do, and I couldn't have given myself any advice back then, which I think is good for people that are going out into business. You aren't expected to know everything.
No.
But it's just great to know which things you don't know.
And I think sometimes too, some of the best lessons learned are the ones on the ground. You know, you're better off having an expensive lesson when you're small than an expensive lesson when you're expanding and at that next level. So
that's it, exactly. And relying on people that have that experience.
Yep. So on that, small business owner, you obviously engage professionals along the way here and there in terms of, you know, finance and those kind of things. So do you have an accountant?
Yes.
Yep. Mortgage broker or bank manager relationship?
Yes.
Yep. Legal?
Not specifically, but in the network.
Yep. Great. And I think that's the big thing is you've got to have these people to be able to call on when you need them, because you might not need them day in, day out, but when you do.
Absolutely. And it's good to have a small excuse to get in the door with someone so that you've got a contact when you need something, or building that relationship so that you can call on people and help out.
One of the big things that I want to talk to you, or one of the other things I want to talk to you about, is you've also been good at partnering with other businesses around Bendigo and things like that as well too. So how important is that? Because obviously people just think we just build something, customers come and away you go. But you've been big on the small business community here in Bendigo as well too. So any insights into your passion around that, the support you've been able to give other business owners as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think.
Well, you and Hayley, sorry.
Yes,
it's not
course.
just
Yes.
it's. I would say, definitely a joint exercise there that you both have been going on.
And thank goodness, because I tend to call myself Patrick Star these days, because there's so much going on. I live under my rock, and Hayley's great at keeping those connections and savvy with social media, which is kind of where small businesses tend to band together and promote each other. But the great thing about the small business in Bendigo is that it's a great way to kind of filter out a network of people that are thinking the same way and going through the same thing.
Yes.
So that you can support each other.
And it's really important to have those like-minded people, isn't it?
Exactly. You run into your long-lost cousin at a party and they'll say, how's business going? And you say, yeah, pretty good. But then you catch up with other small business owners in Bendigo and you can actually get deep and say, we're going through this at the moment and it is hard and these are the challenges. And then the opportunity to trade advice and trade experiences to really elevate that common knowledge and vision.
And I think too, like, obviously the people in the community aren't all, call them cafe experience people, but they're not all coffee shop owners and things like that, are they? It's a broad range of things, and I think that's the value is in sometimes hearing different people's challenges and perspectives in different businesses. Yeah,
but thankfully, at the end of the day, business is business, and it doesn't take very long to get down to the common element, and it almost doesn't matter what you're offering. You can start just using different words for things. Everyone's always offering something. It's what brings your customers through the door, or what brings clients into your office. It's all the same, and it all works in a pretty similar thing, to a degree, obviously. Depends what sort of market you've got and how quickly things move.
Yes.
But those base infrastructure things that you look after are all pretty similar.
Yeah, there are core tenets across all different businesses, isn't there?
Yep.
No, that's great. What's one piece of advice you see and give to new small business owners out there that might be, that you see pop up in the community, or someone's come to you and said, Jesse, you've been in this game a while now. What's something I need to know? What's a piece of advice you would give to that person starting out?
Educate yourself, because I touched on a sentence earlier which is really powerful, that you can't ask questions about something that you don't know. It's kind of like a double negative, really. So if you do some research and find out the things that you find are daunting about like structure from the ground up, or operations, or things to keep an eye on, then you can actually go to an accountant or someone legal and ask those questions, instead of feeling like you're just getting everything thrown on top of you, really.
Yes.
It's good to be able to understand and really meaningfully put those things into practice on the ground as well, instead of having to just rely on that meeting or trusting people.
Or learning with the School of Hard Knocks. There's enough lessons out there without having to do that all the time. For
sure.
Yeah.
But that's a big element, really, and which is why I struggled to get that sentence out.
No, it's good.
But I don't. I was trying to think if that was enough of an answer for what advice would you have, I guess. I think that's kind of a harder one, but an easier piece of advice is structure things properly from day one. And whether that is the company or sole trader or bank account structure or bookkeeping, it's really hard to play catch up a year down the track or a year and a half down the track. So getting things set up straight away.
And I think too, it's a little bit like starting a family. If you wait until the baby comes along to get the crib and everything else, you will always feel like you're running 5 steps behind and playing this catch-up game, where if you've got some of those things set up prior to, you have the most time before you start the business. As soon as the business starts, finding that time is harder and harder.
Definitely.
Yep.
And there's so many things that can be done beforehand with the education, with the infrastructure. There are some things that once you push the button start costing money, so figuring out which ones you need now and which ones you don't. Business names are an easy one.
Yep.
And having a baby analogy is great for that. I'm sure that there's plenty of people who have been sitting in the delivery room saying, "What do you look like?" And but sometimes that might be taken, or but it's just fun to do the homework and be prepared, because there are so many other surprises that need your attention in the moment.
Yes, and to think I will have the time again is not always.
It's never going to happen.
No. How do you and Hayley go in terms of finding that time to be planning and dreaming for the future? I mean, in some ways, as you said, there's always that continuous improvement. So do you have like a disciplined time where you sit down and have a meal together, or, or is it sort of really ad hoc on the fly as you're going along, identifying issues or identifying ways to improve? Or
at the moment, it is very on the fly, ad hoc, as things just don't seem to slow down.
Yep.
But the lists are great.
Yes.
Having shared calendars are great.
Yes. Knowing where the other person is.
Exactly. Locations are great. We're not up to anything except for working, so bring it on.
Yep.
But it is really valuable to make that time. But thankfully, we have figured out each other's strengths, and often that gets done in like lock-in sessions, and then kind of just feedback what we did at that time, or if something does need discussing, we just make it happen. Or
love it.
if for some reason someone wants to babysit our kids, we'll go out for dinner and just talk about work all night. But that's but we love it. So we couldn't think about anything else really.
And I think that's one of the things for anyone, if we talk about small businesses, you've got to be passionate about what you do, because if you're not passionate,
exactly,
it comes out very quickly, and it makes all the hard things harder. Well, when you're passionate, the problems seem more like opportunities, but if you're not passionate, they're just problems.
And then it becomes transactional.
Yes.
And then that becomes boring and bland and
frustrating. And
because the heat really does get turned up, and if you don't want to be there, then your mind can go to some pretty funny places.
It certainly can, especially when you're in. I think too early on, when it's just you, you've got your own thoughts and your own. You can sort of lose yourself there. So,
of course,
yeah,
absolutely.
You mentioned about you and Hayley and knowing each other's strengths. Was that something that you have sort of found over the journey together, or was it something that you sort of set out to identify each other's value in terms of what you bring to the business? How did that sort of come about? Because I think there'd be people who, and I've met people who are probably well down their journey of relationship, and they still don't always are unable to easily define what the other person brings or things like that. So was it a bit of a process? Was it something that just sort of happened?
It's a constant process, really. The first sign that you can really work with someone with such big things is the ability to identify an issue and tackle the solution straight away and not get run down by the actual problem itself.
Yes.
And that's something that is obviously going to be different at different times for different people, but as a whole, that's something that we both really value in each other. It's not a thing. It's what we always used to say. That's not a thing. Like, that's nothing to worry about.
Yep.
We'll just sort it out. It's like, okay, well, let's fix it. If we can't fix it, then there's no point stressing about it. We'll just figure out what it looks like.
Yes.
And then having that emotional and mental capacity to solve problems and focus on solutions.
But I think that mindset
is so helpful.
I think that mindset helps, because we talked earlier about analysis paralysis, and there's almost this thing where if the problem seems too big, your brain almost, it engulfs you, and there's no way to actually then go, how do we sort this out? How do we come to a solution? Because it's almost like you're fixated on, don't know what to do, where it's just, it's there, let's deal with it, let's work it out.
And not give up. And
persistence
there's nothing wrong with the paralysis. It's just, as long as you come out the other side and say, we can't do anything about that, but we can do something about that.
Yes.
It doesn't seem very big, but we'll do it.
And I think that's one of the hard things with small business is not every input-output factor you can control. So there's almost this bit of you've got to focus on what you can do and what you can control.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah. And how do you... We talked a little bit before about focus as well, and you were talking about how you love the idea that when you can lock in and do something, it's amazing what you can get done. So, do you or Hayley have any methods for that, or saying we've got this task and you came from working on a task where you sort of were locking in? So, is there anything out there for? Because I think that's one of the big things for small business owners these days. Is there's so many shiny objects, there's so many different things you could be doing. But a lot of it isn't always necessarily the core element of what will make you successful or what will actually drive the business forward. So how do you go in terms of being able to define that focus? Obviously, lists we've talked a little bit about. What are some of the things for you where you go, this is important, I know it's important, I know I need to put away the other distractions. What's sort of the process for you or Hayley around that?
It's a funny question for me because I can't focus on anything ever. And when I do, it's pretend.
Yeah, it's pretend.
But I think focus is a bigger word than just being able to think about the one thing. It's just about it's kind of a synonym to the vision. Like, what are you focusing on right now? Like, the vision is the bigger picture,
Yes.
And the focus is the small elements that make up.
That drive that.
And as long as they align, and as long as the journey is being reassessed as it goes, and those focuses, if you're running the business by yourself, it's what's important to you right now, what needs to be done, what's on that list, shuffle it around. Don't be afraid to shuffle it around again.
Yes.
Because the focus changes every day. The focus can change every 10 minutes.
Yes.
Especially in a business with spot fires, the focus can be instantaneous.
Yeah.
And then you can lose that opportunity to do the other thing, and it's reevaluating. All right, focus on that. And I think lists is writing things down.
There's almost
such
this
a huge
brain connection, isn't it? When you write it down, the brain.
Write it down. Write it in a book. This is getting a bit D&M, but I've got a book where I write everything down, and then I keep writing things down. And instead of scrunching it up when it's done, you highlight it and then keep going so that you can actually reflect on the things that you have done, because it's easy to feel very helpless when business gets hard. But if you can just reflect on the things that you have achieved,
Yes.
and remind yourself that you do have the capacity to overcome maybe something that was bigger than that before that you would have forgotten.
And I think the brain's very good at adjusting to the new or to the current or whatever. And so without that process, and I've had coaches who will stop me and say, what's a win since we last caught up? What's something you've achieved? And you go back through and start listing things, and it's like, oh, wow. But because the brain's dealing with the now, where you're thinking this or that, you almost discredit all the things that you've done, and that reminder's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, the wins. That's it. That's the whole series. Focus on the wins.
Yeah.
And achieve a win.
Another T-shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if things are getting hard, give yourself a false win.
Yeah.
Just grab one of those little things from the bottom of the list and put it at the top, because the top priority is to get a win.
Yes, and I think too, that momentum as well. Sometimes it's just getting started, and it's just doing that thing that will get the ball rolling.
Exactly. Or talk to your accountant.
Yeah, or talk.
That's always a way to cheer up, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I think there are great conversations you can have with accountants. Some of them where you get told how much tax you're going to pay probably isn't as exciting, but I think there's a lot of other elements that people don't realise they can be talking about in terms of structure and things like that. Yep. Jesse, any last takeaways, any last things that you and Hayley have sort of, if you could say one thing out there to the small business owners and small business community, what's just one thing that you would like to say to them, where it's like this, if you hear nothing else, hear this.
No one's alone. It's a network of small businesses. Yep. And it's like the more than the sum of us situation, where if you tap into that, and we can all work together in some way to take a bit of the brunt off things as they change so quickly. But even on the other side of that, of the education, knowledge, experiences, each business has its own exponential capacity to bring in their own customers. So if you can use your word of mouth strategy for getting more customers within your business network, then they can use that to reach so many more people. And working together is much more than just sharing information, essentially. It's about driving the customers into the right businesses that are all doing such a great job.
I love that. That is great. Yep.
I hope that made sense.
No, that was perfect. And it is so much that. And I think for people just not being scared to put their hand up and ask, there are people out there that will help.
Exactly.
You've just got to ask. And the problem you have, probably 100 other people have had it. Yeah.
And that's it, exactly. Yeah. And I guess to build on that, I know you're trying to wind up, but
it's fine. Let's get going.
When it's easy to kind of really withdraw and put your head in the sand, hang on to everything, but that's what That's what the general public are for.
Yeah.
But if you see the value in support, actually even supporting other businesses, walk in there with $20, $100, whatever it is, to support them and talk to them, and then they will support you back, and you could turn that. It's kind of like an investment, really.
Yeah.
Just actually supporting financially as well.
And I think too, for those doing well, you never know when you might need a hand, and so being able to pay that goodwill forward is
exactly
valuable.
It's not sneaky. It's just how it works.
Exactly. Yeah, we are people at the end of the day.
I like it.
Jesse, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love to get you and Hayley together at some stage, or even Hayley, and just get maybe the other side of the story in terms of the delegation and the vision as well. But I've loved the conversation. Loved hearing your story, where you've gone, what you've learned, your passion and desires, how you operate as a couple in that space, because I think that's really important. So thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge. And yeah, I hope hope plenty of people have got their notepads out and are taking notes, or have started their book and started documenting their journey a bit more. So,
and if you haven't, get it out for the next one with Hayley, because that's the other side.
Ooh, yeah, no, that'll be great. Excellent. Thank you so much, Jesse. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kris. Cheers.